Hi everyone, Alexander Tran here. This Ariamnes Whip Spider was my 69th design created as I filmed this tutorial. It serves as an update to my third original design from 2 years ago. As of this video, I've never seen this spider before, so I designed it using whatever references that I could find at the time. It was also my start in featuring extra anatomy for greater realism where possible. This design includes a spinneret and sternum on its underside, as well as eyes for the current version. It was a model that I was really happy with, both as an improvement in new and old designs, and for personal growth in origami. For anyone who is interested in following along to fold this, the crease pattern is available at my Ko-fi shop. The link is in the description below. Again, this video will be a long one, as I'll show you the main steps on how I approached and folded a model like this from a crease pattern. So let's go over it now. Before starting, if you're unfamiliar or are new with crease patterns, I highly recommend that you watch my first and second tutorials before continuing, as I've previously covered some of the basics that you'll encounter in this model. To begin, you'll notice that the grid size is a bit more extensive than the previous models that I've shown thus far. 64 by 64 grids is a sizable amount to handle. With that, there will be more complexities when it comes to grid preparation and crease navigation, so it is best to take your time with this one. Even I made a few mistakes myself while recording. For the grid, all we have to do is divide the paper into halves until we have 64 by 64 square grids. This time, I'm using a 540mm square sheet of 25 GSM Korean Hanji. This mulberry tissue paper was a bit more expensive than others, but it is both durable and thin. My good Korean friend also told me that if anybody uses Hanji in whatever they use it for, it will become a masterpiece. It really is beautiful paper after all, so we shall see. Ideally, it's recommended to pre-treat this paper with a strengthening agent, like carboxymethyl cellulose or water-soluble hairspray, for easier folding. But I decided not to so that I can experience the paper as it is and enjoy the ride. To finish this step, I decided to keep the paper in a bellows form. This will help make navigation for pre-creasing easier. Next, we pre-crease the following ridge creases, and the axial and ridge creases for the two Pythagorean stretches. We do not need to worry about the other creases, as they are either hinge creases, overlapping folds, or can be dealt with later. Also note how the front of the cephalothorax is kept simplified. We will worry about the complexities of this area later. Take your time here for this step. It was where I got lost and made a few mistakes. Here was my end result. There may be some discrepancies from my mistakes, but it was also just before I began to modify the design to the current version. Now, we can start to collapse these creases into a base. From personal experience, there are 5 areas to be aware of that can help make things easier. The first is the starting point, and I recommend starting from here, the tip of the abdomen. The second is the number of flaps at the front of the cephalothorax, which can be overlooked, and there are 2 of them. The third is the change in grid interval for the pleat fold to form a sternum that will align with the cephalothorax, and it is 1.5 grids. The fourth is the next pleat fold set, and this will allow us to shape the spinneret. Finally, with an extensive grid size and the added complexities of the Pythagorean stretches, I usually try to isolate complicated areas to focus on them alone. As you will see, my course of action was to work my way inwards from both the starting point and the closest paper edges to isolate the Pythagorean stretches before folding them. Once most things are collapsed, we can revisit and finish these last 2 areas, which I'll demonstrate soon. After all that is done, we should end up with a base that looks like this. Here is the progress thus far. Note how I've isolated the Pythagorean stretches. It will be easier to fold them starting from their sharp corners next. Here are the finished Pythagorean stretches. From here, it's following the rest of the creases on the upper half. Up to this point, the base should look like this. Note the alignment of the flaps here. The flap on the upper side for the cephalothorax should align with the outermost pleat of the underside flap for the sternum. Also note the presence of the two flaps at the front of the cephalothorax. The layers in this area should also look something like this. Next are the open sink folds at the tip of the abdomen. and to finish, the representation of eyes. The paper was quite frayed, but here, we squash fold the tip and valley fold each of the corners so that they are raised. Tweezers really helped for this part. With that, here is the completed base. Finally, it's shaping. I used a 10% weight to volume carboxymethyl cellulose solution to shape. Like my previous models, I started brushing it in between each layer from the center of the model, and eventually worked my way out to each of the appendages. As you'll see, multiple air drying steps for rigidity was needed, and this helped to make further shaping easier, both when wet and dry. Because I've never seen this spider before, reference images were crucial for trying to capture a realistic pose. I also decided to shape it as a male spider, with the enlarged pedipalp tips. Otherwise, the tips should be thin at this part for a female spider. Overall, it was more difficult this time due to the complexity, size, and thickness of the model, so a lot of patience and time was needed. It also took all my focus away from filming many times if you've noticed. More details and insights on shaping can also be found in my previous tutorials. After everything looked good in my eyes, I applied the last coat of carboxymethyl cellulose all over the model to smooth out the frayed paper fibers. And with that, the Origami Ariamnes Whip Spider is complete. Thank you very much for watching up till this point, and I hope you enjoyed the video this time too. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you did, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.